I never feel like I'm good enough in America, you know? I don't know if it's just America. Maybe it's just Western nations. But, everything always adjusts. You make more money, right? The people that make more money, they think they're the small fish in the pond. And now they're comparing themselves to their rich friends. And, you know, their rich friends are talking about their yacht. And they're sitting there making $500K a year, like, well, that's not enough. Or, you know, just they don't feel good enough. I kind of made this video because this summer I lost a lot of weight because I was trying to be good enough. And it had nice effects, you know. People treated me nice. People treated me a little bit better, you know. Some girl that I had a crush on showed interest in me. But I messed up the opportunity. But the point is, and the thing is, you know, she didn't really show interest in me before, so it was interesting how that worked. But I lost weight to look the part, which isn't a bad thing. I'm happy I lost weight. I feel good. But when I lost weight, I lost a lot of muscle because, to be frank, I was tired of trying to lose weight and not achieving it, so I just went on a much more strict diet than I ever have. And so I lost muscle. But honestly, after I lost muscle, one day, I was pretty happy with my results, but one day this guy came up to me. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. No guy came up to me. Somebody DM'd me and said I was skinny, called me a bitch and stuff, right? Now, I was fine with that, kinda, because, like, I had photos of about a year ago when I used to go to the gym every day. And I used to be kind of fat and but also had really big muscles. I'd weigh like 205. And that attracted certain women to me, which was interesting. I'm sorry, what I'm saying is, I think older ladies liked when I was, like, more strong, kind of, but then maybe the younger women like when you're skinny. I don't know. I like both of them, so I didn't. Both were great. Not that I really get women, but, you know, sometimes I'd get a compliment. The point is, man, listen, I'm sorry I'm taking way too long to get to the freaking point. The point is, I went one way, trying to look good, and I got one demographic to like the way I looked, and then another demographic, which is my fellow men, were roasting me for being skinny all of a sudden. And so, sometimes it just feels like you can't win, you know? Like, I lose weight, I get lean for the first time, and all of a sudden now I'm skinny, but I'm also lean, which I haven't been before. I gain muscle, but now I'm fat, and my face is kind of chubby, and I don't have any abs. So how do you win? Well, you win by taking steroids, I guess. And that's what messes me up. It feels like there's no winning in America, man. You know? I don't want to take steroids. And to get a naturally gigantic physique would take many years. While also being lean, you know? I've been kind of chubby and big, but that's kind of a different thing. And so what I'm trying to get at is that I kind of realized that nothing feels like enough in America. Like, do you ever catch yourself saying, well, that girl's cute, but I'll talk to her when I'm in shape? Or, you know, I'll do that when I make money. Or I'll do this when I have the skills, when I'm better. I catch myself saying that all the time. Maybe this is just a me problem. I don't know. But, I do that all the time. And from the point of view of my past self, I already am better. In fact, me 3 years ago, if I looked at myself today, I'd think that I was the better that I needed to be to go do the things that I thought would require more confidence. And I thought I would get more confidence from doing something differently. Well, you know, the last girl I was with, I remember I showed her a photo of my physique when I was swimming. I was really proud of it. It was like the photo I considered to be the best photo I had of myself, you know? It was me when I was working out 3 hours a day. And I'd been doing that for 6 years. It was a photo I took when I was swimming in college. So I swam 4 years in high school, 2 years in college. And the rest ended because of COVID, pretty much. But it was on like the sixth year of that. I took a photo. I thought it was like my best physique. You know what this girl said to me? She said I was skinny. Yep. And these were like real usable muscles. Like I went to states with that build, you know. I went to states. I swam I swam like 100-yard breaststroke in under a minute with that physique. And she said I look like a skinny. And that, my friends, that is the point where I figured it's never really enough, is it? You know, 6 years of work. 6 years of work. I used to wake up like 6 a.m. before high school. Well, before school, in high school. And I used to I used to lift weights for swimming, and then I'd have a 2 to 3 hour practice after. And there was also a period of time where I did a swimming club after that, and I swam another hour after that. But apparently that just all equates to skinny. So it's at that point where I've just felt like, what's the point of trying anymore? You know? People's expectations are really messed up about what your body should look like because of Instagram. I mean, there's editing for photos, there's lighting, and worst of all, there are people that take steroids that say they don't, so that they can just get more clout. Celebrities have also done this. Celebrities, well, they'll just blatantly lie, you know, that they didn't have to take steroids for that role, but they did. And so now we've got a point where people generally don't even know, unless they do a lot of research into this stuff, what a normal physique looks like. But that's not the only category where nothing really feels like enough in America, you know? The other category is money. You know, I don't know, man. I feel like having money doesn't keep you happy, because you're going to want more money. It's not going to be enough. I mean, here's the thing. Most people, when they make more money, simply adjust the amount of money that they spend per month, and they upgrade their lifestyle. And now they basically feel the same in terms of their financial freedom. And so they want more money. And I think that millionaires and business owners tend to not do this, although some of them do. But the vast majority of us work 9-to-5s. So really, what it ultimately feels like is that it's just a hamster wheel. So that's how I feel about that, you know? And that's kind of why I'm not sure if I want a 9-to-5. Although I have one. I mean, I don't not work, but sometimes I just think about what's the end goal here, you know? Part of the reason why I say you're never enough in America is that, you know, when I was in Mexico, the people around me, it was a small town in Mexico. This isn't all of Mexico. It's probably the same way in the cities. But the people around me seemed a bit more content with life, because there were a lot of free things that they got that they enjoyed. They enjoyed the simple things in life, you know? They enjoyed coffee. They enjoyed the view of the beautiful town they lived in. And a lot of them watched the ocean. They watched the sunset every night. A lot of them played volleyball, you know? And weirdly enough, I have a feeling that those people are happier in general with the fresh mango that they can pick off of a tree than a lot of us are with our synthetic habitat. It's kind of a synthetic habitat that we live in. You ever notice everything's synthetic nowadays? You know, I heard somebody say something one time. They said that in Western society, everything has gotten to the point where it's about 4 levels or more, 4 recreations of something else. So, a simple example of this would be in an office, right? In an office cubicle. Some of the office decor might be a plastic plant. Now, why do we have a plastic plant? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. And if you think about it, it's because humans enjoy nature. And a man and woman and a human is meant to be around a natural environment. But we don't have a natural environment. Maybe this is New York City, something like that, right? And so the solution would probably just be to get a plant. But because of the fact that this is in an office, it's not convenient to water a plant and take care of a plant. That costs money. So we make another solution to our second solution. Let's make a plant thing that looks like a plant, but actually isn't a plant, but kind of achieves the effect of making a human feel like they're in a natural environment. That's kind of what I mean. Like, it's pretty much just, everything has many layers of syntheticness. And honestly, when you escape it all and you just go to somewhere that's raw, and I'm not trying to romanticize Mexico in particular, this is like many places around the world. But when you just go somewhere that's raw and you're not at level 4 of human needs, do you know what I mean? Human needs. We're not at level 4. We haven't gone through all these levels of production and syntheticness to get there and arrived at a plastic plant. We have real plants. We don't have... you have real mangoes and real fruits that grow in the environment. You have... You don't have artificial heating. Maybe artificial cooling, but a lot of times around the year, at night it cools down a little bit. And during the day, it's pleasant. You don't have pictures of sunsets or a lock screen that makes you happy. You have real sunsets. And you don't constantly consume media that you can't smell and you can't touch. You just live it. When you go somewhere that looks like that wallpaper, it's thousands of times better than just looking at that wallpaper playing a virtual reality game. That's another example, by the way, virtual reality. We're so many layers deep of synthetic baloney. I mean, think about people that play VR chat, and I'm not hating on you if you do, I understand. But ultimately, you're playing VR chat to socialize with your fellow human. The amount of layers it requires to do that is kind of ridiculous, considering you can just socialize with your fellow human alone, or like naturally. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, just making a video. Thank you. No, I'm not dead. So yeah, when you go somewhere where you can just buy fresh fruit, the food is fresh, there aren't preservatives, that's another layer of syntheticness. Have you ever thought about processed food and the fact that processed food has all of these chemicals to make it last longer on the shelf, to give the texture a better quality, to keep it from melting, all types of things. But have you ever thought about how synthetic all of that is? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to get at. Maybe we're all unhappy because we've built a synthetic structure around us. So let me get back to my main point. When you have that closeness with nature, you realize that nature is God. And in doing so, you realize that you can be happy whether or not you're enough. You realize that even if you were just a homeless bum that drank coconuts, you'd still be happier than 90% of Americans, because you have all of these beautiful things around you. You get the sunset, the weather's beautiful, you see the sun every day, you have friends. You know, all of your needs are met. Sometimes I think maybe happiness is found in simplicity. And when you find that humility that comes from being in touch with nature, and in my opinion, God, you realize that none of the other stuff really matters. You don't need a better car. You know, you find happiness in the way your life is as it is. There's another thing though, you know, people are more humble in other countries. And I think we've lost that. People are humble, man. Humility brings happiness. In America, people have this attitude where we're all crabs in a bucket trying to pull ourselves down. Like we're all competing 24/7. And let me say something. Because of that, even if you do succeed, even if you do level up, even if you do improve, people are no longer congratulating you. They're not happy about it. Sometimes they're passive aggressive. And the reason why is because they simply see you as competition. They see that as someone else getting something against, getting another point above them. And they can't bring it, they don't have it in themselves to just be happy for that person. And that's what I mean. The problem here is pride. Maybe the reason that people seemed happier in Mexico, and just so you know, I don't mean old people. I still met miserable people in Mexico. I'm just making a generalization here. It's a cultural thing, right? But maybe that was because people in an environment that gives them almost everything they need, or in an environment where there's less pride of the human ego, they realize that it doesn't matter if the world is centered around them. There's happiness in the realization, and I'd even say there's joy in the realization that the world isn't about you. That it's not your story. Now for me, the way I find that joy is by remembering that it's not about me. It's about God. And because I'm no longer the focus, I can be happy regardless. At least it will be easier for me to be happy because it was never about me to begin with. I can still find joy in the fact that God's divine plan is still going to be complete, whether or not my condition is well. Now, another thing that I feel like is never enough is social media. I went on YouTube because I stopped playing the game of social media. I used to be on TikTok many years ago. Well, only like 2 or 3 years ago, but I got my followers up to 400,000 on TikTok, and it was cool for a while. Believe it or not, people actually good job, that's awesome, Whoa, you have 400,000 followers, all that. And then I realized that this is just a giant rat race. I like YouTube because I can actually talk about things that are impactful to me, and I hope are impactful to you. And being wise is realizing that the only thing that ultimately matters is that one thing you remember in a YouTube video, or that your friend told you that stuck with you, that actually impacted you in some way.